Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, episode 288, The Writing Reflex in Grief.
Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, the only podcast that offers a proven process to help you work through your grief, to grow, evolve, and create a future you can truly look forward to. Here's your host, Master Certified Life Coach, Grief Expert, Widow, and Mom, Krista St-Germain.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast. How you doing? How you feeling? I know those holidays are coming. If you're here, you've probably already survived Thanksgiving in the US, but December has just started. So I want to remind you that there are quite a few episodes of the Widowed Mom podcast that are related to the holidays. So if you will go to coachingwithkrista.com and you will click on the podcast link, you will see every podcast episode with a search bar, and you can search by holidays or holiday, and all of those episodes will pop right up and you can listen to them. So they are there for you. Right now, in a couple of days, am so happy to welcome my daughter home. She's been in Argentina all semester studying, and I have missed her so much, and I'm ready to squeeze her and hug her and hear her stories and see all of her photos. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm also enjoying this little desk that I have. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tell the view is different. I have a stand-up desk. My back has been hurting a lot. I've been sitting way too much. So I finally got a stand-up desk, and man, it's like a whole different office to be standing in, feeling so much more energy, which is really nice. Anyway, okay. The writing reflex. Let's talk about it. I know you've been on the receiving end of it. After I describe it to you, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I just didn't know until recently that there was a name for it. And so when I heard that there was a name for it, I decided, yes, must do a podcast episode on this. So tell me if this sounds familiar. I would bet money that you know exactly what I'm talking about here. But you just shared something hard about your grief. You were just honest with someone about how you're feeling, or you are in a position where they just found out about your loss and you're emotional about it, right? And then they say something like, oh dear, well, at least they're in a better place and they're no longer suffering. Or you're young, you'll find someone else. Or at least you had the years that you had together, or at least you had kids. Or, I have found that gratitude is just really helpful. So I suggest you just make a gratitude list, right? The kinds of dismissive things that people say in effort to make us feel better. You know what I'm talking about, right? That's the writing reflex. It's that instinct to fix as though something were broken, right? Grief is not a problem to solve. No more than a feeling is a problem to solve. It's just a natural human response to a perceived loss. But the writing reflex is that human instinct that we have to quote unquote write something, R-I-G-H-T, like right and wrong, not write with a pen, but R-I-G-H-T, the writing reflex. So what I learned is that the writing reflex comes from the field of motivational interviewing, which is a counseling approach that was created in the 80s. And the two psychologists who created it, William Miller and Stephen Rolnick, learned as a part of their work that even when counselors were coming from the best place, right, were really coming from a desire to help, that when they offered clients solutions or advice, that it wasn't very well received, that sometimes clients would receive that with resistance or would kind of disengage. They would feel dismissed. And so they labeled it the writing reflex. So it's well-meaning, but it's just not super helpful. So what I think is also interesting about this is that not only have we been on the receiving end of it from other people, we've also probably done it to other people, and we've also probably done it to ourselves, right? I know I for sure have done this to myself, and sometimes I have to remind myself not to. I had to get a drink of water there. So think about times when you have done this to yourself, right? Maybe you've noticed that something was hard about grief and you have told yourself, oh, God, get over it. You need to move on. Shouldn't be so hard. Why are you making this so hard? You should be doing better by now. Shouldn't feel this way. Shouldn't be so awful. That's the writing reflex too. Or maybe you might notice times where you've done that to your kids or a friend or even another widow, maybe, right? Where you give advice. Have you ever tried a gratitude journal? What worked for me was blah, blah, blah. Have you thought about, right? And then we offer solutions instead of listening. So very human of us, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just a human thing. It's part of how our brains are wired. We see struggle. We want to fix it. We want to help. And sometimes we turn that on ourselves too. So I know you've heard me say this a million times, so here goes 1,000,001. Feelings are not problems to solve. They're experiences to allow. We have to tell ourselves that over and over and over. We're probably not going to get rid of that writing reflex, but we can remind ourselves, right? When we are noticing that reflex within ourselves, we can remind ourselves, oh, yes, this is the part where my human brain thinks that this is a problem to be solved, but feelings don't need fixing. Feelings aren't problems to solve. This is just the writing reflex, right? We can support ourselves based on the way that we talk to ourselves. And then we can think back, like if somebody else is in front of us and we're trying to figure out how to support them, or maybe it's just we're trying to support ourselves, right? Think back to a time where somebody didn't respond to you in the way that you had hoped, right? They showed their writing reflex. And think about what you might have preferred to hear. Oh, you're right. That is so hard. I'm so sorry this happened. Yes, this is hard. What would you have wanted them to say to you that wouldn't have felt like your feelings weren't valid, that wouldn't have felt like they didn't hear you? How could you tell them that you hear them and that you're with them and that you love them and they aren't wrong? And then say that. And if the reflex you're having is to dismiss yourself, right, to fix yourself, say it to yourself. It's also an opportunity, I think, to get curious about what could I learn from this feeling? What is there here for me in this experience to learn? Not because you should learn, but because so often there is a lesson in how we're feeling. There is some sort of information there for us that could help us create more of what we want in the future. If you are on the receiving end, right, somebody's writing reflex is coming at you, headed in your general direction, then it's also a good reminder to normalize it in them too. Oh, this is the part where their writing reflex is showing up, because they probably mean well. They probably are well intended. Most people are, and they're coming from a place of wanting to help, even if it doesn't feel helpful. But just reminding ourselves, oh, that's what's happening here, can help. And then we get to be the ones who decide what we want to do. We get to be the ones who decide if we want to keep engaging in conversation, if we want to play our cards really closely, if we want to ask for the kind of support that would be more helpful to us. And I really hope that you will give yourself permission to do it however you want to do it, right? Let yourself be the authority on what is right for you in that moment. If you choose to advocate for what you want, then it might sound like, I know you're trying to take care of me, and I know you love me, and I appreciate your ideas, but what I really need is space to feel this, someone to be with me in this, someone to listen right now, if that's what you want, right? So you can let them know, they're coming from a good place, and here's what you would really like from them. Is that something they are willing to do? We can always ask. We can always make the request. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if we want to, if we value that connection and we want that support, we can ask for it. Sometimes that's helpful. Maybe we don't. Or maybe we ask and they aren't interested in that kind of support. Then it's okay to seek support elsewhere. Well, it's always okay to seek support elsewhere, right? But you get to do it the way that you want to do it. So now we know what the writing reflex is. It doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us wrong. It's just part of being human. And when we recognize it for what it is, it gets easier to deal with, right? Whether we're on the receiving end of it from someone else, or we are doing it to ourselves, or we are tempted to act on it when someone else is in pain in front of us, we get to choose our response to that reflex always. All right? That's what I have for you this week. I hope it's helpful. Remember, I love you. You've got this. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you like what you've been hearing on this podcast and want to create a future you can truly get excited about even after the loss of your spouse, I invite you to join my Mom Goes On coaching program. It's small group coaching just for widowed moms like you, where I'll help you figure out what's holding you back and give you the tools and support you need so you can move forward with confidence. Please don't settle for a new normal that's less than what you deserve. Go to coachingwithkrista.com and click Work With Me for details and next steps. I can't wait to meet you.